Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome to the first official episode of Ballroom Chat under our new name. Renamed it, so very excited to have you this Monday morning. I'm your host, Samantha with Love.Live.Dance, and today I am joined by the amazing Kimberley Mitchell, who is a former UK Open International Latin and Standard Champion, and then she is a two-time US Professional Latin Champion, current coach, adjudicator, judge, and just overall wonderful person. So please give her a warm welcome.
Ooh, thank you.
So thanks so much for coming on this morning.
Well, thank you for having me.
I'm excited. So yes. For those that maybe aren't familiar with you, what does the resume look like? How did you get into dancing?
Ooh, okay, well, my parents have a dance studio in England, and they grew up dancing together as children and as professionals, and then along I came to spoil all of their fun. I think I came out dancing. So when people ask me how long I've danced and I say forever, it really is forever. My forever. I started ballet at the age of 2. My mom thought I needed a little bit of discipline. I can't think why she thought that. I had my first dance partner at the age of 5, ballroom dance partner. We were British champions, international champions, and then kind of went on from there. I actually moved to the United States at 18, just turning 19, to dance with a guy in San Francisco. We were going to dance. We were dancing for England and gonna spend 6 months in America, 6 months in England, and then along came Bill Sparks, who saw me dancing at the national championships, and at that time he was looking for a dance partner. We were dancing in the youth category, and he was already United States champion. So after some back and forth and asking my mom what she thought I should do, and having my coaches speak to his coaches, speak to my mom, it was this big run around. I decided that, I'd already done really well leading up to that point. Why not turn professional and go on from there? So I did, and 6 weeks later, after teaming up with Bill, we danced our first Ohio Star Ball. For anybody that's seen, that was the one where we had the dog collar and I led him around the floor, which was
okay.
Fun. Yeah, woo-woo. That was that showdown. And I guess the rest is history. We became 2-time national champions, 4-time Ohio Star Ball. We traveled to England and won the British Rising Star. And then, Bill retired and I moved back to England for a while, worked in my parents' studio, got to do a lot of social dancing, working with kids. There's a lot of kids classes over in England, way more than we have here. So my talents and teaching skills changed a little bit, but there was something missing, and America was what was missing. So just over 10 years ago, I moved back, and here I am. So I did a little bit of pro-am, which was fun because I love to dance and I still love to show off. Let's just, be honest about it. I can't help it. Who doesn't like to get all gossip and show off a little bit? Mm-hmm. But now it's coaching and judging, traveling around and sharing my gifts and talents with others. So
that's amazing.
So there you go. That's my resume. I would tick it all off, but there you go.
No, that's fantastic. And I think you keyed in on something that is certainly true, which is youth programs, youth dance sport is much more prevalent internationally than it is here in the U.S. I feel like in the U.S. we really focus our kids programs on ballet, tap, jazz, acro, modern, very solo dance or group choreography based, but never partner dancing. And I don't know if that's because we're uncomfortable as a culture having kids dance with partners, or if it's just something that never really took off here.
For me, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, go ahead.
For me, I just feel you don't know what you don't know. And we also, money's a big thing. So the ballroom industry is a little bit more expensive than going to a ballet class.
Yeah.
So I think that steers people away. And the whole ballroom dancing is for old people. That stigma. It's still here. I mean, yes, that's something that's in Europe, but because, again, they know what they know. For me, I was teaching kids whose parents had been to the dance studio, whose grandparents had been to the dance studio. So it was kind of a generation, and then the next generation came in, and the next generation came in. Mm. So maybe if we could find a way to really get it into schools all over, not just in a few areas, then they would know more. Yes. You can do ballroom dancing and not be up close and icky.
Yes, yes. Where I'm located in Salt Lake City, we are just north of Provo, which of course is like dancing mecca for the U.S. And especially in Utah County and Salt Lake County, they do have more of a push for ballroom in middle and high school levels, and their youth program is much more prevalent. But it's interesting. So coming from the East Coast and training with Andrew and Amanda at their studio in Pittsburgh, that was all their business was all driven by adults, right? Either adults that are looking for pro-am competition or seniors that are just looking to get out and be mobile and be active and be social. Right. Here in Utah, I'm finding that because there's this prevalent amateur and there's this push for youth, that then by the time you get to an adult and you're having kids of your own, you're no longer dancing, or you're no longer interested in dancing. You're like, I did that as a kid. I don't need to do it as an adult. Do you find the same situation happening with your experience in the UK, where because there is such this youth drive that as an adult it's not as interesting to take on as a hobby, or because it's this multi-generational push, you see people really make it a lifelong activity?
I think a little bit of both. We find that there is a middle ground, I guess, when the kids go off to college and then life happens. If it's not their chosen career, chosen hobby, because others kind of infiltrate, then they'll probably come back to it later on. But there is a gap, unless it's something that they're going to do for a job. Because I know for me, when I first moved here, how dance instructors are found and born is a lot later on in life, and they could be off of Craigslist, they could be off the street, they could have been a bartender that's got a really good personality, and we teach you how to dance and then we teach you how to teach. Yep. Whereas in Europe, the dance teachers groomed from tiny. So you do this, and then the stages, you move on, and then you move on, and then you move on, and then you end up to either teaching in the school or moving and opening up your own studio. So I think, I guess if you laid it all out, it's probably the same everywhere. It's just different ages. We all dance at some point, but I'd love to get more involved. That's just the be all and end all. I'd just love to get more kids involved.
Yes. And you can learn so many life skills. I feel like, we could 100% get into a dance as life as dance metaphor about how to interact with people and how to navigate uncertain circumstances and how to go with the flow and how to fake it till you make it and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah, the health benefits from the coordination and the skills that you learn, not just in life but within yourself, are amazing.
Absolutely.
So, people should know these things.
Yes. So you mentioned competing with Bill. You mentioned showcases with Bill or show dance performances with Bill. has it been 3 years already since the 40th anniversary? Was that 2017?
That's crazy. Yeah. Woo!
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, time
3 years.
is flying past. So, because it was the 40th anniversary of Ohio Star Ball, they brought back a bunch of former champions that are now either on the judging circuit or retired to do show dance performances. So how did all of that come together? Did Sam Sedano reach out and say, hey, I'd love for you guys to do a performance? Or was it something that you guys as judges and adjudicators were like, hey, it would be really cool if we did this?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think the core group was invited to come and dance, and then other people got wind of it and like, please invite me. So there may have been a few that invited themselves, but we won't go too much into that. But it was mainly an invitation. Please, it's the 40th year anniversary. We would love to have you all come and dance. And it was, he gave us free rein to do whatever we wanted to do. So
that's the best.
Well, yes.
So had you and Bill danced at all between the time where you retired from competition and then, or was that?
That was it. Bill retired, I believe, in 2001, and we hadn't touched each other. Well, no, I take that back. When I was dancing Pro-Am, I'd taken my guys to him for some lessons, so moving around, but we hadn't performed.
Gotcha.
So going back into the studio, practicing, sweating, figuring stuff out, it felt great. It felt great not only to get out there and be dancing with Bill, but to see how we'd evolved and matured, and as much as the pressure was on, because nobody wants to look silly on the dance floor. Here's a past champion. Oh my goodness, were they a champion? Nobody wanted that to be said about them. So that there was pressure, but it wasn't competitive pressure. It wasn't, I gotta do this and fisticuffs. So it was fun.
Yeah, you were performing for yourself, and you wanted to make sure that you set the bar high enough that you did yourself justice.
Yeah. When those lights came on, that was it.
Just right back to the first time you hit the Ohio floor.
Yeah, it was great. I have to say, when we were at the Star Ball and doing the rehearsal, so everybody was there, I have never seen a room full of champions so nervous. You had world champions over here walking around. You had American champions over here pacing up and down. You had somebody in the corner rocking around. It was quite funny. I mean, we were part of it as well, but all of these champions that are just amazing in their own right, so scared to go back out on the dance floor. And then when the lights hit, it was fabulous.
I think that's reassuring to those of us that are mere mortals then, because it's like, okay, everyone gets nerves when they go out and perform.
We feel it too. Yeah. Behind the scenes was hilarious. Everybody's sweating and nervous. And so, yes, it happens to us all.
Excellent. So how do you, I mean, obviously you've performed many times at all different levels. What is your personal preparation to either push through the nerves, or do you have kind of a ritual before you perform every time where you know, like, I'm going to get really nervous for 15 minutes and I'm going to calm down and I'm going to get some water and then I'm going to walk around and then I'm just going to do my thing? Do you have kind of a process?
I still get nervous. I get nervous even stepping onto the floor. For me, the nerves go away when the music starts. So when I was competing, I had my music and I took myself away and, just spent a moment with myself, going through some actions, going through some movement, connecting with my body, connecting with the floor, making sure that I knew my routines, maybe going over the routines in my head just to, even though we all practice and we all know our routines, stuff comes up. So it was kind of dance meditation, I guess you could say, focusing on who I want to be, what I want to put out there. Now obviously the competitive side is gone, and I do some show dances, and every once in a while competitions have the judges do a little bit of something, and we have fun with it. And I still get nervous, and I still get nervous getting onto the floor. And the moment the lights and the music comes on, I turn into a beast and off I go.
That's excellent.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I have a similar process whenever I go and compete, either pro-am with my students or do showcases at the studio. It's like I need to find 5 or 10 minutes before I go on where I can just mentally go through the routine from start to finish a couple of times, because
Yeah.
you are relying on muscle memory, you're relying on adrenaline and performance quality and all of those hours that you put in behind the scenes for your body to do what it's supposed to do. But it's also very much a mental game. Like, you have to be in the right headspace.
Oh,
You
yeah.
want to know exactly where you're going, exactly what counts you're holding, exactly what syncopations you need to remember that you tweaked or changed. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna say.
Well, I think a lot of I have a feeling that a lot of dancers have similar rituals that they go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See a lot of headsets and people wandering around and taking a moment, and then coming together and touchy feely with your dance partner and connecting with them, and then you're off. And
Absolutely.
I always needed the bathroom.
Yes. Yes.
And then you walk on the floor and it's gone. And then you forget about it and you dance and you come off the floor and you don't need it anymore. So it's definitely a nervous thing. And I'm going to admit that. I don't care.
100% a nervous thing. I learned that early on. I did the ballet tap jazz thing as a kid, and there's nothing worse than feeling like you have to go to the bathroom 2 minutes before the curtains pull up, and you've got tights and a leotard and the overdress and the tutu and the shoes.
Yep.
And it's like, I can't, so
Nope.
we're just going to go with
Do
it. But you're right. As soon as you step out onto the floor or you step out onto the stage and the lights hit you, you're like, nope, I'm fine. What was I worried about?
Yeah, it's a nervous thing.
Yeah. So you mentioned that when you were kind of getting ready for the showpiece at Ohio, that you were realizing, or you were working through, how much you had adapted and changed your style from the first time that you were on the floor. I'd love to hear a little bit about what your dancing has evolved to be, what you're finding the difference is, whether it's just time or whether it's how the dance has evolved, how your teaching style has changed based on what your body is wanting to do or leaning towards doing now.
I feel my style of dancing has, obviously, as I've matured, my dancing style has matured. But getting choreography to put onto the dance floor in 2000, end of 2017, going into 2018, you can't do the choreography that you did in 97, 98, and 99, 2000, because there are so many people in the audience that really, she's slow and all of that good stuff. So I think we tried to adapt some of the new athleticism and the speed and the spins. I know for me, I've always been, if in doubt, spin 3 times and stop. Fill it up with a spin.
It works.
Yeah. Working with Bill, we wanted it to be hours, but the choreography itself still needed to be up to date. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. When I had Rosanna on, we talked a little bit about her opinion and feelings on athleticism versus artistry, right? And kind of her views on how dance sport may be leaning more towards the sport than the dance. Yeah. So what's your take on that? Or as a judge and as a former performer, are you seeing more of that athleticism and kind of pros and cons to moving in that direction?
I think the thing that I notice the most, that gets me the most, there are so many people that look alike. So I think, I don't want to, we put the blame on YouTube, but let's face it, let's put the blame on YouTube. There are so many avenues that people can go to now to learn. Yes, dancing's evolved, and I wouldn't want it to necessarily look how it did in years gone by, but the charisma and the characteristics and the character of that person who's dancing, I think that's what I'd like to see more of. Yeah. So for our industry, it isn't like, let's say, skating. That's evolved by, once upon a time it was, could you do one spin, could leaps and jumps and spinning in the air. I don't know the term, so I'm not going to butcher it. And then it moved on to 2, and then it moved on to 3, and then it's a quadruple, blah, 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 blah. So in their industry, that's how they moved on, and that's how they are being judged. In the ballroom dance industry, I'm not judging you on if you can spin 17 times. I don't care. I want to see how you move from foot to foot and how you interact with your partner. For me, the artistry, the realness and the rawness that is out there today, I love. But I don't want to see everybody looking the same.
Yeah.
So I would love more personality. And I think going back to the whole YouTube, we went through a stage where everybody learned off of the greats at that time, but what they didn't do it smart and take the special flair. They took everything. They took the wink, they took the point, they took the nod, they took the flick, they took what was that person and just copied it. They didn't even take it and make it their own. So you just had stamps of Slavic and stamps of Karina. Instead of, Karina does this really well, how can I make that mine? How can I make that even better than Karina? How can I make it even yummier than Slavic? I love that. Instead of, well, I'm just going to copy what Slavic does because it works for him. Well, yes, it does, but now you got to find something different. So that to me, I would, and I'm going to say this, I would rather watch Smooth because it's so different and everybody's so different than a Latin competition where, for me as a judge, I stand there and yes, I have my opinions and I know who's going to win. I know who I want to win and I know why. But I stand there for a minute and go, oh my goodness, everybody looks the same. And you're all good. It's not that they're at a low level. They're all at a really high level. But now, then, as a judge, I'm now waiting for something bad to happen. I'm judging based on something I really don't like rather than something I like. Yeah. So it's the least offensive that normally wins.
Which, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but I know it's true because I hear it time and time again from judges that I speak to. It's like, and I want to see someone stand out, even if it's very bad or very weird or very out there. I'd rather see a train wreck.
Look again.
I think that's...
I don't have speech bubbles above my head. That's probably a good thing.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine if suddenly every single judge just had a speech bubble pop up?
I would be in trouble. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you. I look at Instagram and I look at YouTube and I look at the videos that are getting posted. I'm like, I've seen that routine. Or, okay, I saw that particular move on Dennis and Antonia during their World of Dance showcase, and now I'm seeing it on a completely different couple, and they're trying to do it the same way, and it's like, that doesn't work for your body. You know, one of the things that I found very early on is because I'm 5'10", pushing 5'11", without heels, I have to dance my jive very differently. Because my 5'11" frame does not support the jive that a 5'2" person can do. So yeah, I also feel like, and maybe this is just coming from some of the frustrations that I've found now that I'm teaching more and more and teaching more full time, is students really want to mirror what they see in other people, and I feel like it's a good learning technique, but then you also have to figure out, Okay, at what stage in the process, day 1, day 50, day 500, do I say, okay, I love that you've absorbed all this information from all of your different coaches and all your different instructors. There is no right way. Show me the right way for you.
Exactly. There's no right and wrong. It's what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And for me, going in and coaching, I use that phrase a lot because it's ballroom dancing. It's my body working how my body works, and exactly how you said. 5'10", I'm 5'4". It's going to be completely different. And for me, when I was dancing at a time when, and I'm curvy. I have shoulders, I have hips, and I go right in the middle. And what looks good on me doesn't necessarily look good on somebody else, but it's not wrong. And yes, I can give it a go, but at the end of the day, in order for, if we're being honest, if you're going to be a competitor, when we say I'm just doing it for the fun of it, nobody really wants to compete and lose.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
do other things that don't have a trophy at the end of it, that don't have a first, second, and third. But if you are going to go into that competitive realm, then find out what works for you and what makes you special. And what makes you special is what's on the inside. So bring that to the outside rather than bringing to the outside what's special on person number 2 on Instagram.
Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely 100% the direction that I love to see students and instructors and everybody move in. You are the owner, or co-owner, I should say, or co-organizer of 2 competitions?
I was. This world is changing, and we find ourselves moving on. Andrew Pushel and I had a same-sex dance competition. I am so in love with that world because I believe everybody can dance and everybody should have the chance to dance competitively. Yes, we've kind of opened up the same-sex world in the independent mainstream, but at that time Andrew and I were running it, same-sex wasn't allowed.
And I wanted to get your opinion on that for just a second.
Yeah.
Obviously, your competition, the Glitz and Glam Ball, came out of kind of a need to showcase and highlight the LGBTQ plus community and give the opportunity for same-sex couples to perform and dance. With the NDCA moving towards non-gendered partnerships, do you, and I'm going to try and phrase this politically correct, and you can 100% choose to not answer this if you don't want to. Do you think that the NDCA change came about because it's 2019 and we should be there already? Or do you think it came about because if you open it up to have more people in more diverse roles, then you have more entries at competitions? Or do you think it's a little bit of both?
I would say it's a little bit of both. It's an industry. People earn money. So opening the doors and welcoming more people in brings more entries and more money. But it's 2019, 2020. This is the world we're living in, and everybody, let's have some equality here. I think what you will find, there won't be an awful lot of same-sex couples that come to the NDCA world because it is so expensive, whereas their world, they can go and dance and pay an amount to get in and dance all day, whereas our world is you pay per dance or per competition. I think what the biggest bonus that I saw, that I myself am feeling, because I can, female instructors can now go into the NDC world and dance with their students.
Yes.
So let's face it, taking away or making it the man must lead and the lady must follow, that shut down any chance you and I had to take our students that would pay onto a competition floor. And there are males out there that are only comfortable dancing with their instructor, which is a male. let's put it out there. I think there's, for me, I know of more females that it's opened up the business for us. I think you'll see more on the pro-am side rather than the am or pro side. I think that's what you'll see more of.
Excellent. Sorry to interrupt you when you were talking about transitioning.
That's fine. We get to dance. Ladies get to go more.
Yes. I got a text message as soon as the announcement had been made that was just like, go get that top teacher trophy, girl. Like, go.
Yeah, I can dance with my guys and I can also dance with my ladies. So here I come.
Yes. But you were going to talk about the other competition that you were a co-owner of.
Yeah, I had a one-day competition, and life happens. Andrew is now a professor in Ohio, so he's kind of gone out of the dancing business and into the professional world. And Andrew and I are still really, really good friends. So he left it with me, and it just wasn't the right time for me to do something with it. I took on another partner and ended up selling my half to my new partner in the competition. I think it's an amazing thing to have, to be an organizer, but at the end of the weekend, it's like, yay, I've earned this much money and I've made all of these people happy. But it isn't just for the weekend. It takes all year to set up that one weekend, which if you look at it as a weekend challenge and, celebration, it's fine. But you got to see the dark side of it as well. And for me, my life was changing. I got married last year, closed my studio, moved to being part of a Fred Astaire studio. I'm a dance director at a Fred Astaire studio here in Columbus. We were going to move to Indiana. We didn't move. So all of these life-changing things, I'm just going to call them things, happened that kind of kept me out of that. So I was happy to pass the baton on to somebody else for them to run the competition. And, maybe down the line, I'll get involved with another competition. Just at the moment, I'm doing me.
And I think that's a good point for especially competitors to understand, is that it is a year-round process to put on a competition, regardless of what size. And certainly as you're adding, 2, 3, 4, 5 days on to the competition, it just becomes that much more of a process to really put together. So I know one of the things that's come up because of obviously the pandemic is that a lot of organizers are having to choose what is in their best interest as a business, but also what's in the public's best interest for the sake of the competition. Here, BYU Nationals, it was quite the controversy because they decided to start before the pandemic really hit. And then midway through, everything had to come to a grinding halt because new information was released and we learned, and it wasn't safe anymore. North Coast is intending to continue their competition this June, but they've decided to not have the professional competition, just pro-am and am-am. If, obviously you're not in this position, but if you were still looking at being in the organizer seat for a competition, what would your kind of pro and con list be to continuing a competition? What conversations would you be having with either your judges or your volunteer staff or, hotels and whatnot?
I think if my competition had been now and let's say June, July, it would be on my mind that maybe next year would be the best time to run it. I think for one, half of the country is still not sure whether they should come out of their house yet, and the other half's like, woohoo, let me out, let me hug, let me do whatever. So the safety, we still don't know. are we safe? Are we not safe? I don't know. Is this silly? Is it, am I wearing a mask? Am I not wearing a mask? What am I doing? But then for me, on the dancing side of things, as the business, dance studios have been shut down for so long. And yes, we've had online classes and private lessons, but there's nothing like real touch. So I know it's going to take a moment to get our students back in the door, to get them back to regular lessons, to get them back dance ready, then competition ready, and then let's go and as if nothing happened. So as a competition organizer, knowing that it'll take 2 to 3 months to get everybody back and running, I would be a little apprehensive and a little bit not so sure about running my competition because so much money goes into it. The competitions have to look the best. They have to be all bells and whistles and sparkly, and because that's what we've come to love and require from our competitions. And everything costs money. So as a competition owner, I know I would probably have cancelled and waited till next year.
So on the flip side then, as a judge or as a coach that has students that are interested in competing, what are your decision-making factors whether or not to agree to be a judge or whether or not to take your students to a competition at this point?
I mean, for me, I have a pro-am guy. Well, I have two. One is definitely going to start again. His goal is for August. The other one actually has his first lesson today. As a judge, we stand around the floor social distancing, but there aren't the competitions. So for us as a judge, I'm booked at the end of the year, so I don't feel so bad. I guess I'm kind of able to stay at home and recoup. As a dance teacher taking my guy, it's good to have a goal instead of it just we're coming back into the studio and there's no sign of a competition. We're hoping that August will be clear and safe for us to go. So that's going to be my goal. And it's going to take me a couple of months before I believe that he's ready and we are ready. Because let's face it, ballroom dancing's a together sport. That if I'm good, woohoo! But it's not what we're doing here. So I don't know. Did that answer that question? I'm not really sure. I think I might have waffled.
No, absolutely.
My time. And I know from a studio point, with the Fred Astaire that we're involved in, people are slow to come back. You've got your diehards and the ones that have been on the Zoom calls and have had their lessons. It's still, we're staggering people coming in. People that are diehards want their lessons first thing in the morning, so they're not going to be around anybody. So it's going to be a slow go, I think.
Yeah, I think franchised or not franchised, I feel like a lot of studios right now are experiencing the same thing. I know with my students, I have exactly the same situation. I have some diehards that, we're doing the Zoom calls, and then as soon as I said, okay, the numbers look good, we're in phase 2, we're moving towards phase 3, we can come back to the studio. They're like, yep, great, let's do this. And then I have other students that are like, I don't know if I trust it yet, or I don't want to dance with a mask on, so let me know when things are completely back to normal. Yes.
That's sweaty.
Yes. Well, and we do not have the altitude that Denver has, but we are farther above sea level than Ohio and Pittsburgh. Yeah. And it's suddenly altitude training when you put that mask on. It doesn't matter how good cardio shape you're in.
So fit when we get back on the competition floor.
Yes.
That's how I look at it. Not that, oh my goodness, it's a mask. We're using it for training purposes.
Yes. I was joking with one of my students last week that I have one of the cloth masks, and I was joking with him that suddenly I was much more aware of when I was breathing in through my mouth rather than through my nose when I was dancing, because every time I would take like a gasp in, I would have cloth in the mouth, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yep. I think it's good good for me because I'm hiding the faces that I pull at my students. So it's kind of making me a little bit more aware of, oh my goodness, I just pulled that face. Maybe I shouldn't do that. So yeah.
Yep.
Like, ooh, you can't tell underneath.
Yes. Yeah. And learning to, at least for me, when I make like a silly, goofy, sarcastic moment, to just kind of like lighten the mood, how to smile with my eyes, because you can't see like the sarcastic grin underneath the mask. It's like, all right, I've got to emote through my eyes. Exactly.
Why are you so surprised? I'm not. I'm smiling.
Yes.
With my eyebrow.
Yes, precisely. So we talked a little bit about kind of the fact that you would like to see more individuality and personality on the dance floor. What other trends are you seeing as a judge that you either are really glad to see in a certain dance style, or you would prefer if folks moved away from it?
I think every now and then the overly sexed moves. Can we say that? Yes,
you can say that.
That's a nice way of saying it. I don't know if that's just me being very English, or it's just I don't want to. There's other ways around to portray love and pleasure than some of those moves. I think that for me, I get a little bit awkward, and I love when couples dance to the judges. Just don't do it for a long period of time, because you make me feel uncomfortable, and then I tend to do the whole
let me look at any couple past you.
Yeah, I make it obvious that I'm now not looking at you and I would like to look at somebody else. So yeah, I think everybody's trying their best, and they're even couples that taking from YouTube. Everybody's trying their best. So, you know what? Why not? And the nice thing is, a competition, I'm not the only judge. So what I like, somebody else might not like. What they like, I may not. So 9 times out of 10, the result is fair.
Yeah, there are enough differing opinions to have it balance out to a nice medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Latin's will be the one that I'm not so much in love with, as that's my thing. That's what I won with. That's who I am. I've kind of now, like I said, I love watching Smooth. Smooth's my favorite because everybody is so different. Okay, I found something. The tragic face in Viennese Waltz. Oh, yeah, all of that. I'm not sure I'm in love with that, but yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to go with it.
We get that Viennese Waltz is a sad dance, but we don't want to think that you're in pain as you're dancing it.
Yeah. I don't want to have to run on with a Band-Aid or a, tube grip, because I think you've hurt yourself.
Yes. Yeah. On the thought of rumba being a little bit too steamy at times, I don't want to ever watch a competition and feel uncomfortable or like I'm seeing something that I shouldn't be seeing. You can hint at things. You can give the emotional quality of things, but tone it down just a little bit.
Yeah. I remember Shirley Ballas, having lessons with Shirley Ballas when I was, I think, like 16. Because we were already in youth. I danced with a guy that was older than me. So I was already dancing in amateur, dancing against ladies that had got world experience. But Shirley Ballas taught me how to be feminine and how to put hands on myself that wasn't putting hands on myself.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's like across the throat and down the side. And if you have to do something down, like on yourself, go down the middle. It's not all like,
yes,
I don't want to see it.
And okay, I will get myself in trouble in this one.
Yes, we haven't got in trouble yet. Let's do it.
I guess I'll put the disclaimer: not all male instructors, but I can tell immediately with ladies' arm style if it is taught by a man or by a woman. Because I think most female instructors, if they're doing like the neck down the side, they're going to have you brush the hand away from your body and then like give the hint of it brushing something. Whereas most male instructors that I see styling their ladies' arms, it's like, put the hand exactly where I want the eyes to go. And it's like, please no. Hint at it.
That's the best. When you travel around coaching, it's like, a guy gave you this choreography, didn't they? Well, yes, they did. How do you know? Mm-hmm. And we love you, men.
Yes.
But
yes, we would be far worse off if we did not have our male instructors. But
I know I have my thing when I'm trying to dance the guy's part. I tend to sound, and I make noises, I sound like a pirate. I'm not really sure why I think that.
So I want to ask this question actually, because that leads perfectly into it. Thoughts on verbalizing your breath while you're dancing on a competition floor? Because I'm a big believer in verbalizing your breath on a practice floor, but I don't want it to sound like a tennis match when I'm actually dancing the cha-cha in front of a judge.
Yeah, I think there's a time and a place. I agree. I know I use techniques when coaching so that my students get used to that dropped weight, that they can like let it out with a noise if you need to, because then everything's going to go. The hard part then is if I'm training it constantly in the competition, in the studio, am I going to bring it to the competition floor? And paso doble, how many times do I have to stomp my feet really loud and go, hi! Like, it does make me look at you. I think that you get a second look from me. So maybe that's a good thing, but it's a judgmental look. I know I'm getting paid to judge, but like, why would you yell like that? So, yeah, I think that there's a time and a place. And sometimes if you feel it, you can't help it. But again, that goes to that, am I well rehearsed? Is my wink and my point in the same spot every single time? And I've started my routine in front of this judge round after round after round, and I'm still winking and pointing at the judge in the same spot every time. Yeah. I know there's no spontaneity. You're not listening to the music. You're not going with what you feel at that time. How are you portraying the whole situation? You're just well rehearsed on pointing and winking. So then it's not real. I think that goes with the voicing.
Yeah, I 100% agree. If you're going to rely on it being rehearsed, at least move your starting point so you aren't giving the same judge the same look through multiple rounds of competition. But if you can find a level of authenticity and find a level of improv and react in the moment and react to your partner and react to the music, then that's going to make you a more rounded, more interesting, better dancer.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you in particular like watching Smooth at the moment. Obviously the NDCA, as far as pro-am competitions and closed syllabus versus open syllabus, made a whole bunch of changes at the end of 2019 to just kind of restrict and give more focus, I think, to instructors that are moving their students through. Rosanna and I talked about it a little bit on her podcast, but I wanted to see from a judging perspective and from an adjudicator and an invigilator perspective, when it comes to you can only be apart for 4 bars, or the first 4 bars have to be closed, then you have to have 12 over the course of the minute, then you can only be apart for X number of counts or X number of measures. How, as a judge, are you keeping track of that? And how frequently do you see people not adhering to the new guidelines on the floor?
I actually think the guidelines are great. I think if you're going to enter a student into closed bronze, closed silver, then you need to play by the rules. And these are the rules. I think starting with 4 bars of closed choreography isn't that much. No. I think it gives, if we've got 12 bars overall, it gives the newer teachers guidelines. It gives them a structure. It gives them something to run with. As a judge, I see 4 bars. I'm watching everybody. I'm scanning the room. Do I continue to watch to make sure that you've got 12 bars of closed choreography? That's not my job.
Right.
So a lot of the competitions now are hiring, and we shift out invigilators. It's their job. If I myself first of all, I don't have time to watch everybody to make sure, but if I did, then I'm singling one person out for good or for bad.
Mm-hmm.
So as a judge, I don't have the time to single one couple out. I have a job to do to make sure that I've got everybody in order how I want them to be. As an invigilator, that's when I get to single somebody out. But a lot of times I'm only really singling that one person out if they've done something stupid.
Right. If it's very obvious that you've broken something.
If I'm watching and I see you dance side by side for way too long, I'm going to watch you in the next dance to see if you do it again. If you don't if you can't count 4 bars of closed choreography and you come out of it, I know for sure that there's not going to be 12. So I'm probably going to watch you the whole way around. Mm-hmm. So for me, I think the guidelines are great. If you're going to enter in closed competition, play by the rules. If not, then there's an open category for a reason.
Yes.
But as a judge, I know there are times when I'm watching, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, did the invigilator see that? Do you know what you're doing? Why are you doing that? But at the end of the day, that's not my job is to decide whether I love you or I love you. Who am I going to put where? That's somebody else's job to decide.
Fair enough.
That's how yeah.
Well, and I think it's very easy, as you said, if everyone has to stay in 4 bars, closed for 4 bars at the beginning of the music, it makes it very obvious who pops out of it first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I, as a newer instructor myself, although I really need to stop saying that because it's now been a while, I really enjoy the guidelines because, and I've said it in a couple of the past conversations that I've had, I enjoy the ability as an instructor now when I go to competitions with my students and they're like, oh, well, why can't we do that? Or why can't we do that? I can just very simply say, they're not supposed to be doing that.
Yep.
And we aren't going to win by playing that game. We're going to win by listening to the feedback from the judges, listening to the feedback from the NDCA, and following the rules.
Tweaking the routines to be out of category, again, doesn't get you marks. 17 spins, lovely. Yay, woohoo, good for you. Can you dance the rest of your cha-cha after those spins? I invigilated a top professional dancing Latin. Latin's not his thing, but everything he did was out of category, even though his student was in category. So when I had gone up to him and like, hi, here's your form. Unfortunately, you're out of category. He said, well, my student's doing it correctly, isn't she? Well, yes. But what you're dancing, remember, this is partnership dancing. You've now made it open choreography, not closed choreography. So you too have to stick to the guidelines. Just because your student is doing the crossover correctly and you're doing something weird. Yeah. So I think I'm really good at, sit on that fence and bend the rules, bounce it and bend the rules a little bit, but completely out of category, then no. And then you're not going to... Oh.
Well, and I think that shows a lack of understanding or awareness of the point of pro-am. The point of pro-am as a pro is not to look amazing and show your ability as a professional. It's to highlight the ability of your student and make your student look...
put that out there. Hello, people!
Am I wrong at that?
No. This is not Blackpool. This is Pro-Am in Cleveland.
Yeah. And when I was still an amateur, that was the reason why I loved dancing with Andrew as much as I did. And I enjoyed dancing with Dimitri for the short time that I got to dance with Dimitri. Is with both of them, I felt like they were very aware of what my ability was at the time. They were pushing me to get better, but they knew where my strengths weren't yet and where I was still learning, and would choreograph routines to play to my strengths. And I never felt like when I was dancing with them that I was this lowly, amateur and they were this godly professional. I felt like they danced to the level that they wanted me to dance at. And that pushed me to get better. And that showed a lot of my ability at the time. And yeah, I feel like that's the way that pros should be, is make your students look as best as you possibly can. It's not about your ego.
If only. Change the subject, quick.
Okay. Well, so we're almost out of time. Was there anything that you wanted to talk about? Any tips or tricks that you wish more people knew about? Anything coming up in your world that you want people to be aware of?
No, I think the world is the world at the moment, and for me, I think dancing is so important. And again, the health benefits and just the support with day-to-day movement due to dancing. If the world knew, or just took a moment to try, I think it would be a whole different ball game. My world has changed a lot with the pandemic and getting back into traveling to coach and traveling to judge. And yeah, things have slowed down. So for me, it's now about my online coaching and what I'm doing coaching wise with my husband together, and the things that we're putting out there. So, if anybody's got any extra questions for me, and I'm always more than happy to answer everybody's questions. So send me your questions.
Excellent. Well, if you do have any follow-up questions, or you want to find out about coaching opportunities or training opportunities with Kimberley, you can find her at Stand Up Have Fun on Facebook. Or you can find her at Kimberley.Mitchell.319. That's her personal Facebook, so you can get a hold of her that way. And that information is on screen right below her photo. It'll also be in the doobly-doo everywhere that this is posted. So yes, support her. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm Samantha with Love.Live.Dance. You can find this in podcast form at either ballroomchat.com, or you can go to lovelivedance.com/podcast. There is a Facebook group and Instagram page specifically for this podcast now. You can find it at Ballroom Chat on both platforms. So please follow and engage further in the conversation on those two platforms. Very excited for my guest next week. I will be announcing who he is later in the week, so keep an eye out for that. And I just want to take a second to thank Kimberley again for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
So have a wonderful rest of your day. Love each other, be kind, stay safe, and we will see you next week.